not be at ease and just be like, okay, it's all right, like whatever, like it's cool, like I'm homeless, my family doesn't give a shit about me, my kid got raped, I have nobody, no friends, no anything, I don't have a job, I don't have any way of supporting myself because of child support, and there's no way that I'd be able to get a job because nobody wants to hire a homeless guy. But you know what I had? I had the beach. And it was beautiful. Like, it was just beautiful. Like, it was just amazing. Like, it was just one of the best things, like one of the best memories, like the best memories that I really have of being in LA, where like of being stoned on that beach at night. And it was it was just fun, just getting stoned and just hanging out there, it was just like, and it was fun that I really couldn't have had in any other way. And I wouldn't have had, I would have just been sitting there miserable about my daughter and sitting there miserable about everything that had been happening to me. But I wasn't, like, I was content and I was satisfied, and it was okay. And I know that that's not really the way that people should deal with their problems, but that's really how we deal with our problems. And that's what's so messed up, is that, drugs make it really easy for people that are oppressed to kind of just deal with it and just be complacent and not do anything about it. But at the same time, like, I don't really feel that, like, people that do drugs, that, like, I don't really feel that they know that that's what it is that they're doing, is they're looking for some moment of, like, beauty or some level of comfort that they can't achieve through anything else. They can't achieve it through any of the other things that are being placed before them. And that's why it's just like, it's messed up, because in the situation and the system that we have, the drugs really are kind of detrimental in a lot of ways. I mean, like, I should have died, right? Like, I should have died 5 years ago. But I didn't. I didn't die. So I'm doing my best to communicate, with whoever I can, about whatever I can, regarding the things that I know, and regarding the things that I don't know. And I really, at this point, don't know what I am, but I really don't believe that even if the Magi are trying to validate their Christianity, like Revelation, prophecy, whatever, like, there's really no way that they can validate it, because I'm not a descendant of King David. I'm not a descendant of Christ. Like, I'm just someone else. There's absolutely no way that, like, God is not in some way, like, I mean, everybody that worships God, but like everything that happens because of God, right? There's no, like, devil in the equation. It's just God. Like, God is responsible for all good things and all bad things. That's the Jewish philosophy. That's one thing that I learned. There's no such thing as a devil. There's Lucifer, and he challenges us, but he's not really the figure that most people think of. The Christian idea of the devil and the angel, the fallen angel, all that stuff is Christian, all that stuff is Christianity. But there is Iblis. So I kind of believe in Iblis, but here's kind of how I feel. Even though Iblis is okay, because he also challenges us, and says, I will show you why they are not worthy. I've learned, or I've heard somewhere, that no matter what, he still actually loves God, and he's still subordinate to God in a lot of ways. Which I might not be right about. But he is denied entrance into the paradise. So, regardless of the things that he does to us, there is some punishment for the things that he's done and the things that he does to us, which means that he's not going to be part of the Messianic era. So if there's this cult that's going around acting like Iblis, it's just like, it's like, no matter what, they worship God, they don't think men are worthy, and they're not getting into the Messianic era. So if they, like, accomplish a bunch of stuff, or they're, like, kind of threatening or whatever, it's just like, that's just kind of like the way it is, and we just kind of have to follow the Quran and follow the Talmud as much as we possibly can to get as little bumps and scrapes as we possibly can. But I mean, if what it boils down to is there's going to be a war between Jews and Muslims and these pagan Arabs, I don't think that the cult associated with Iblis would take the side of the pagan Arabs, which means that even though he completely like screws with us and completely challenges us and makes it so that we're not really capable of behaving the way that we're supposed to behave, if there's going to be a global religious war, then in the end, follow the Talmud and follow the Quran, and he's gonna defend you against the pagan Arabs. And I mean, this is the guy that says man is not worthy to serve. And he doesn't get into the paradise, but in the end, he will be threatened in the same sense that we are threatened, and I hardly think that he's going to. I hardly think that he's going to pick the side of people that don't worship God, or just. I just don't think that. I mean, and that might be confusion, that might be conditioning, that might be not cool to a lot of people, but the truth is there's a lot of things that people really aren't cool with. Like, people aren't cool with the idea of being challenged by Lucifer either, like the Lucifer cult. Like, nobody really likes that Einstein was working with Nazis, and that these Nazis intended to enslave us too. Nobody likes that the Jews were working with these people. And so the rational explanation that I get about this is that the only way to know what those people were doing, or to know what those people were capable of doing, or what they were interested in doing, was to infiltrate them and to get close to them. But that might be naive, and it's probably definitely naive. And people are easily corrupted, and if you've got a bunch of people that are put in those positions of authority, and there's this guy who thinks that he's acting on behalf of Iblis, influencing people and to behave even more terribly, then things probably aren't going to turn out so great. But the truth is that there's all these people that believe certain things, and I mean, there's a lot of conditioning that's being done to me. Like, I can admit it, and I can sit here and admit it, and it's conditioning that I agree with because it's something that I've actually come to believe. The belief itself was not conditioning, but there's all these things that kind of tail on to my beliefs that have been conditioned, like the Mushashin thing. Like, I've totally been conditioned to be completely comfortable with losing my life for the cause of the greater good. And part of the reason is because there's something about these Mushashin that I respect. There's something about them that I kind of these guys are tough guys. These guys aren't little girls. These guys believe in God, and they go out and they bust missions that they never come back from, that they know they're not coming back from. And that's just that's impressive to me. That's something that I respect a lot, because it's something that I kind of feel is happening to me. And it's something that I want to embody, and something that I want to emulate. It's I don't mind losing my life for the Jews. I don't mind losing my life for the Muslims. I don't mind losing my life for the Jews and the Muslims and the people that, are loyal to the Jews and the Muslims, and the people that discover God through this whole thing that is, this whole thing that is happening to everybody. So I don't mind losing my life for that. I got AIDS. And they did it so that I couldn't have any more children, because I guess they said that they're planning on giving money to my son and my daughter's family, which makes sense because they're related to the Magi and the entertainment industry in America, and I don't know what else or who else. But apparently my whole life I've been surrounded by somebodies, and I never myself personally knew that I was also a somebody. And all the people I was surrounded by were like related high up FBI, American military, entertainment industry, and like I just really never had any idea what it was that was going on. And like here I was, like having sex, had a daughter with this chick who's like Arab descent. Like I had a little girl with this person, and I had no idea that they were related to the Magi, and it's just like I have no idea if they're related to the Magi that were genetically engineered into existence, or if they have any kind of connection to the Magi that existed before they were genetically engineered to existence. But it's something that I wouldn't have done. Like I would not have had a child with this woman. Like I would not have done that. Like had I known the things that I now know about the Magi, if I had known that, I would not have had a child with her. And not only would I not have had a child with her, I would not have had sex with her. And same thing goes with Jennifer Creel. Not have had kids with her. I would not have had my son with her. And she, to be honest, she was never particularly attractive. It was just something that kind of happened, and it was actually a lot of influencing. And like being attractive is just so like, I mean, maybe I seem like a superficial, shallow, dick, but the truth is they're both they behave so terribly. They're just promiscuous. They have no real regard for anybody's feelings except themselves. And I just like, nobody really wants to get involved with people that behave like that, or women that behave like that, but their families like have a habit of like behaving that way too, which, I mean, of course, they're going to back up their family members. So, but, I mean, I've just kind of been through I've been through so much that I just really like, I can't even sit here and tell you everything. All I can tell you is just like, like my mom, you know what I mean? Like my own mother, like, man, like what a mess. My own mother betrayed me. And according to the Talmud, I cannot take her life. I cannot take that woman's life. And I really, really like to. I would really love to cut off her head, but I cannot because of the Talmud. And it's something that I respect. It's something that I have to listen to. Like I really want to do it. Like I really don't want to eat chicken and dairy. I really don't want to eat leavened bread, like, because it's Passover right now. I really don't want to do the things that Jews do not do. Like whatever Jews don't do, that's what I'm not going to do. Whatever Jews do, that's what I'm going to do. Like I really want to do this. I really want to take it seriously. Like I want to study. I want to learn. I want to, have complex conversations that have things to do outside the Torah, outside, the Jewish theological, like, information. Like I want to like talk about God without having to rely on some of these things that Judaism kind of installs or puts in place. Like I want to like, let's talk a little bit about like God on a scientific level and like, make it, understand him as like more of this complex entity. Because I mean, that's one of the things that like I really kind of like liked tripping out on. I learned to like bugs. Like I used to be mean to ants when I was younger. I used to just like kill them. But like I have a certain level of respect for them. One of the reasons that I have a certain level of respect for them is because of the Mushashim and birds. The story of Isa creating birds. But that was actually like, it was like the ant. For the ants is the same thing. Just like it's like you go out for the colony. And search for food, and a lot of the time there's a chance that you're not coming back, but you go out anyway and you go looking for food, and sometimes they find it, sometimes they find it and they come back, and then everybody goes and they eat, but that was like one thing that like reminded me of the Mushashin, and like I really liked it. Like I respected that, that's why I kind of like ants now, because that's what they're doing, is they're like going out, like they're like doing their job for the colony. And I liked it. Like it's impressive. It's impressive that ant, that little ant, is just like has no idea where there's food, but he's gonna go looking for it. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's the same thing, you know. It's just like guys that go out, you know, completely certain and completely aware that they're not coming back, and they got to do it anyway. So I'm just, you know, this is where I'm at. I wanted the British Crown to know that, like, I'm not afraid of them anymore. I wanted the Magi to know that I'm really not afraid of them anymore. I want George Bush to know that I'm not really afraid of him anymore. I mean, like, I'm at this point now where it's just like, you know, if they arrest me for something I didn't do and they send me to prison, oh well. I know I'll be surrounded by federal agents, because that's basically what they've been doing every single time that I go to jail or I go anywhere. You know, I'm surrounded by federal agents, and they're like federal agents, they're NSA agents. It doesn't really matter. You know, they're working for the corrupted government that works for the Vatican, that works for the Magi, that's interested in, as far as I know, they're interested in increasing the value of gold and killing off the people living in impoverished countries that refuse to work for them. Because when the economy collapsed, that's why I guess everybody's been getting jobs working for the FBI and the CIA, is because everybody knows the economy is going to collapse, and the only way they're going to survive, the only way they're going to eat, is if they're working for the CIA, if they're working for the FBI, if they're working for the American military. And I mean, they're like really kind of bottlenecking everybody into having to rely on them. You know, and it's just like, you know, I'm at this point where it's just like, I have no choice but to rely on the American government and the American taxpayers for my $900 a month, which I'm pretty sure they're going to figure out a way to cut or get, you know, knock out. But what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to find a Jewish guy that owns his own company that's willing to hire me and pay me under the table, so that I don't have to worry about claiming my wages. And if I do get kicked off of SSI, then I can just, you know, work full time under the table, and, you know, I'll be fine. You know, because I'm not planning on staying in Michigan forever. I'm planning on getting as much education as I possibly can and staying in Michigan as long as I possibly can, and then eventually check out Israel, maybe get a little education in Israel, and then eventually moving. I kind of want to move to Mexico. It's funny because, like, there it is. Look, this is the border right here. This is like fence. You can see all the way down. I'm over here by like some memorial, some park, and like, this is how close I am to Mexico. Like, you know, I'm like there's this part of me that, you know, maybe it's conditioning again too, but it's conditioning that I don't mind, because I'm Mexican, and, you know, I have got a responsibility to people that are Mexican, even though I was betrayed by every single member of my Mexican family. And that's just one of the reasons that, like, I really don't mind it, again, is because of the Mushashin. Which, I mean, at this point, they might be kind of show-offs, but they've all probably been through a lot getting close to this Arab conspiracy known as the Magi. Because as far as I know, the information that I have says that the Magi and the Mushashin were responsible for the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, if I understand correctly. And not only were they responsible for the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, but they were probably also responsible for the assassination of a lot of different people that probably deserved it, and maybe some people that didn't deserve it. But I understood right away, you know, when I was betrayed by my brother, betrayed by my sister, betrayed by my mother, betrayed by my stepfather, that those are the things that have happened to Mushashin, you know, because they're Arabs and they're surrounded by people that betray them for the Magi, probably on a daily basis. You know, daily basis they get betrayed by the Magi, who have no interest in helping Mushashin, you know, validate their Day of Judgment or validate their Quran, or no interest in letting, you know, the Muslims be, you know, in the Jews' corner. And it feels good to have something in common with them, to know that like I was betrayed by my little brother, but it was just like, it's like, no, it's all right. Like, it's like the same thing happened to the Mushashin, so many times they were betrayed by their whole entire families, and all they had was the Quran, all they had was God, all they had was Islam. Like, that's what I'm like going through. Like, and it's like, it's okay with me. Like, I can submit to those people, and I can submit and willingly go through the things that they've been through. And that's the other thing, is that, how many times were the Jews' daughters raped by, Nazi Germans, or by, some crazy person that, just had some intention of just harming and indulging and, being disrespectful because of some hat he wore, or because he wouldn't work on the Sabbath, or because something that he ate or something that he wouldn't eat. How disrespectful, like how much disrespect they've put up with. Like, I submit to these people. I can go through those things. Like, I am going to go through those things. I'm going to go through those things with them, and I'm going to go through those things because of them. Like, and it's something that's why, like, I wouldn't have a problem with someone who is Jewish or someone who is Muslim putting me through some of these things, because I know that no matter what, it serves a purpose. And that's actually what pisses me off about my grandmother, is the only purpose that I could possibly come up with that they did that was they wanted to do some sort of traumatic psychological damage to my father, so he would be extremely dependent on whatever future female figure he had in his life. Because whatever it was that they're done to me and that they're doing to me, they initially planned on doing to my father. There must have been some like confusion about what was going on, or something that they didn't intend to do. But apparently, the way that I think it goes is that if he would have married some woman who was really promiscuous and associated with like the Dionysus cult, some woman that was just like, just terrible and completely unemotionally available, but selfish and, whatever, like that's like the only conclusion that I could come up with. And that's because, like psychological, that's like psychology, that's like psychological information. Like but I guess it had to have been done by somebody that didn't know that they didn't need to do that, because they had created ghost technology that meant that they could just influence my father into staying with a woman that was unfaithful and that treated him terribly and treated him like garbage. So whoever did that had no idea about the ghost technology. Because that's actually what they did to me. I don't have like a positive relationship with my mother, but I'm extremely codependent, and I'm like really reliant on like female affection. but like it's not necessarily something that was born out of like mommy issues, like mother, like traumatic maternal figure. Like, it wasn't something that was born out of that. It's something more just like I think typical male. Like I kind of feel in a lot of ways that I'm actually extremely common, not particularly I don't really feel like I particularly stand out. I mean, I'm engineered, so like I kind of like kind of got like some engineered look to me, but I don't really think that there's anything that's particularly makes me stick out in any way, other than that. I don't really feel like I'm not like in a lot of ways the average male. But so that's like the one thing that like pisses me off, is that like it really wasn't something that happened righteously. It was something that was done for the sole purpose of like validating the like mythology behind like Mary Magdalene and like the promiscuous whore that Jesus married. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just like, and it bothers me because like I guess they feel like it's their way in, or their way to avoid judgment or something, because like it's something that they're trying to do to me. And it's not just that they want to disrespect me and they want me to marry some girl that they've been running trains on, or some girl that they used to sodomize ever since she was 5. It's like not just blatant disrespect, like they're also just like interested in like combining the genetic information of these women that are really like questionable and really selfish and really kind of callous and promiscuous and indulgent with my genetic material. What they want is they want to do the Mary Magdalene Jesus story again. And the truth is, like I said, I'm not Jesus. I'm not the Christ. I'm not Osiris. and I'm not going to marry your whores. And it's to the point now that, I mean, even if I die, if I don't die, I'm not going to get married until the Messianic era, and that's just how it is. Even if I'm an old man, maybe I don't find, some young girl that's pretty or whatever, whatever, as long as she's Jewish and as long as she wasn't a complete skank, I'll probably be okay. And as long as she's not, having sex with, gay magi with huge dicks or whatever, because I guess that's what they do to them, is they give them they engineer them to have huge dicks, but they make them gay, which I really don't understand. But it's the thing that I don't want is, I don't want some Jewish girl who's letting gay magi run trains on her behind my back, because apparently that's what they want to do. And I don't want to marry some woman who has the brain of a guy from the 60s that just wants to marry me for money that I'm not going to accept anyway, because there's no way that I could accept money that was associated with benefiting from through the process of idolatry, which means that I would never take the Vatican's money. I can't take any Christian church's money, and I can't take any money that was created through Hinduism. So the only thing that I can really do is make my own money, which is what I intend to do. These people stole my sweater, they stole my pants, and probably my underwear too. I don't even know. It's not the first time that a pair of my underwear have gone missing, but they replaced it with stuff that looked just like it. And I know they sold it, and they got who knows how much money they got for it. So I know that if I do something legally create if I legally create DMT or hashish or some sort of safe for your body crystal meth variant, then I could totally capitalize off of it. But I have to sell it through pharmaceutical companies and do everything legally. But even if I did that, even if there's pharmaceutical companies that won't shoot straight with me, that won't be honest with me and cut me in on the major cash, I could just work a job as an analytical chemist or as a pharmacy chemist until I get enough money to start my own pharmaceutical company and then do it myself. So I'll be able to sell medical grade hashish, maybe even medical grade opium. I don't really want to sell Oxycontins and stuff like that, because you don't really need to do stuff like that. And I don't really want to sell stuff that people are shooting up or anything, because I know that I don't want to be responsible for anybody ODing. And I don't really want to sell regular crystal meth, because I don't really want to be responsible for people damaging their bodies. But everybody does like to party. And one thing that I've noticed is that one of the things that kind of sets me apart, and is part of the reason there's all these Jewish figures that don't really like me or don't really like the idea of embracing me as a prophet, or embracing what I'm experiencing as prophethood, is the drugs. It's just something that's really deterrent when it comes to spirituality, and deterrent when it comes to satisfying your responsibilities as a husband, as a father, or your husband's to the Talmud or the prayer. If you're high, can you pray? Is that okay? Is it okay to pray when you're high? What if you're getting high instead of praying? What if you're getting high instead of studying the Talmud, and then it becomes a problem? I can understand all those things, but the fact of the matter is, there's people that use drugs because of the messed up things that they're going through. And I know that for a fact, and to take that away from them is actually pretty harmful, because it's actually what I went through. I couldn't get my hands on any weed that would get me high. I was going to the medical shops in California, and the marijuana was literally getting me less high than the marijuana that I could buy off the Cholo down the street for $5. I was really pissed off that all the medical shops, all the weed that they were selling, it was just so terrible. And I've smoked really good weed before, probably not G13 classified, right? But I've smoked Master Kush, and I've smoked Blueberry Kush. But Blueberry Kush was just tasted like blueberries. But Master Kush was just such an impressive strain of marijuana, and I know it was probably engineered by the American government. But it's just such an impressive strain of marijuana. It was just get me so high. And that's how I know that the guys in California are getting really terrible weed. The weed that they're getting is just terrible. And the thing is even though I've got a lot of dope fiend habits and dope fiend things, and I'd be criticized by them. But there's this part of me that's just like, you know what, God created the plants, God created the herbs, you know what I mean? Like, how could you deny me that? And I know I sound like every other stone hippie from California when I say that, but there's this part of me that also wants to be responsible. I mean, truth is, I'm not driven by my desire to smoke marijuana to the point where I'm crossing the border to go get cocaine and marijuana, even though I know I could find it. You know what I mean? I know it's Mexico. I could totally find it. Like, you know, probably like not even like 3-4 blocks in, I'll find somebody that would sell it to me. But it's actually not like, I don't like really want drugs to be my go-to. I'd rather have it be something that I'd like, you know, do ritualistically with people that I'm comfortable with, and when I'm in a situation that I'm comfortable. Not like smoking every day, because then it's just like a bad habit, right? Like if you like smoke like once every 6 months, or maybe even once a year, or take shrooms every like once a year, like, or like once every 5 years or something, like I think like that would be okay. Like those things would be okay. Like I don't really think that God would have a problem with that, especially because nobody hawks their ass for shrooms. You know, it's not like crack cocaine or like crystal meth or heroin. You know, nobody's selling their ass for shrooms. You know, like nobody's like selling their ass to support a shroom habit. And you know, and marijuana's kind of like, you know, like I've had some pretty bad experiences with marijuana, like with regarding those things. Like I used to steal like to support my marijuana habit, or like from my father, or I used to like steal from other people, or like I'd stolen marijuana from people. But the problem is that I was like going through something, and I was homeless, and like I wasn't capable of working, so so I really had no choice, you know, but to like steal. And the problem I don't really feel is like the drug. I feel like there's the system that's extremely oppressive to people. Like it's oppressive in some way that people don't really have the capacity of indulging like this, and then like not indulging again for like a week or a month or whatever. Like, you know, because like when I was young, you know, when I was in high school, I used to like buy $20 worth of weed, and it would last me a month. Like I could smoke like a bowl like in the morning, and then be fine and not smoke again for like 2 weeks, and then like smoke again like you know, the last little bit of it with like some friends or whatever, and then like I was cool. Like I didn't have to smoke every day. But like at some point in time, I became conditioned, or, you know, like maybe not like through psychic influence, but just like conditioned from indulging personal indulgence to smoking every day. And it's just like these things are kind of dangerous. Like that, I can understand why the Jews wouldn't want to stand by drugs, or why the Jews wouldn't want to apply science to the Talmud, because that's the other thing, is that like I've kind of understood there's all these things that are really kind of scientific about the Talmud, even though you can't really accurately apply all sciences to the Talmud. You'd be cherry picking these things here and these things there. But I mean, it's obvious that the stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and Ishmael, they were selectively bred. That's like selectively bred. That's